Well, I wanted to talk about the subject of love in my communication with you today.
Well, let's start with some subject of someone or something that is out there on the raw and ragged edge, and we're going to drag it into the vortex with you and work it over and demonstrate what we have been meaning in the words that we've just been offering to you.
Okay, so there's a fellow named Chris that I have an antagonistic relationship with. Does that help?
Yes. And so what is it about Chris that comes up the most often and bothers you the most?
I would say his annoying personality. Sort of an arrogant attitude.
So he's arrogant. Is
Right.
he condescending?
Yes.
Does he have a good opinion of you?
I think he does. But he expresses it in a condescending and demeaning way.
Well, do you have a good opinion of him?
I have an opinion of his skills as a person, but not of his personality.
All right. So he sort of feels the same way about you. When we say, does he have a good opinion of you?
Right.
He does have a good opinion of you in some ways, but not so much in others, because the way you feel about him almost always matches precisely the way he feels about you.
Right.
So, funny how it works out like that. So let's drag Chris into the vortex.
Okay.
So we've dragged him in, but in order to get him in there, we have to leave all of his annoying traits out. Because if you take him by the hand, we are being far too literal with this vortex, and drag him in, just your awareness of his annoying traits is going to throw you and
Right.
your involvement with him out. And
Right.
so as you take the idea of Chris into the vortex, and your intention is to stay in the vortex and to stay in the vortex while you contemplate Chris, because it's not about changing him, it's about changing the parts of him that you think about. It's about changing your perspective of him. It's about amping up the favorable things that allow you to be in the vortex while you ramp down the things that cause you to get thrown out of the vortex when you activate them. Is that clear?
Yes.
In other words, this turns out isn't about Chris at all. It's about your perception of him.
Right.
And your perception of him, we love you very much. You've been sort of lazy in your perception because you have been taking reality as it exists, and maybe based upon other things that you've been taught to believe. In other words, he might not be annoying at all by your in the vortex standards, and in fact isn't. You know how we know that? Because you wouldn't feel negative emotion when you think about him if you didn't have a different opinion of him than the source within you has.
Right. I hear you.
Isn't that interesting?
Right.
The whole reason you feel negative emotion is because you're choosing an approach to him that the source within you isn't and would never choose.
Right.
So the whole idea of getting into the vortex is for you to let source tune you to what? Now this is really important. Is source tuning you to a new opinion? In other words, is all that's happening here is Abraham's trying to get you to let go of the opinions of the peanut gallery while you accept the opinions of Abraham and other source-like beings?
No.
Whose opinion is it? Whose opinion is it that we're trying to get you to tune to?
Source.
And you, the larger part of you, in other words, every time you saw something annoying in him or anyone, when there was annoyance occurring, you put the opposite of that in your vortex. In other words, because when the problem is evolving, so is the solution. So, ooh, this is good. Are you getting this? Yeah. So that means, do you know, you're really going to like this. It's so good. We're just going to savor it for a while before we give it to you. What we're getting at here is that it is only because in your interaction with him and because you've created a new and improved version of him that your old version, your currently manifested version, is annoying you.
Interesting.
If you hadn't worked with him and lived with him and created with him so long, because you have made an in the vortex version of him is the reason that he annoys you.
Right.
Don't you just love knowing that? So what you want to say to him is, you know, man, you're annoying. But only because in my interaction with you, I have created a version of you that is so spectacular. But I'm weak, man. I'm weak. I'm weak. I threw those pieces of you in there one at a time, and I'm weak. I cannot bring myself to focus upon the spectacular version of you that I've created. I am compelled in my weakness to see you as you are in the old past tense version. There's a new version of you. There's a present tense version of you over here in my vortex, but I'm too weak to go there. I'm letting the manifested version of you dictate how I feel.
Well, I would say it's sloppy thinking. It's not willingness to take the step of working toward appreciation.
But you see, we know that's a good speculation. But the reason that we wanted to dramatize so emphatically Esther's discord and really pose the question, why would someone like Esther or someone like you, even for a moment, choose a thought that doesn't feel good when there are all these good feeling thoughts available? You know better than that. You know better. And the answer is, the answer that we gave earlier is because you want to be right. But that is a habit of thought that doesn't serve you. In other words, that's a practiced thought because you've been surrounded by so many people who have been cataloging you and pigeonholing you and measuring you against others, and you've been trying to be the rightest, you've been trying to be the brightest, you've been trying to be the most beautiful, you try to be, in other words, in that measurement process, you're completely off track of the only measurement that matters, which is the measurement between what you've evolved to and what you're letting yourself be in any moment in time, you see. And when you finally, you're getting it, aren't you? When you finally get that nothing matters more than the way I feel, and the way I feel is everything, because the way I feel indicates my wholeness or my lack of wholeness, my completeness or my incompleteness, my allowing or my not allowing, my alignment or my resistance. It's everything, you see. And bless those rascally Chris's of the world who have caused such expansion in you that now you're not happy unless you keep up with it. That's really what you want to say to everybody who feels like they've let you down. You want to say, and it would even help if you could do it in your moments of disappointment or in your moments of annoyance. You caused me to be more than I'm letting myself be right now.
And that's what I wanted to go to just a little bit on this. You use the word weak, and I know that's, for exaggeration, for emphasis. We use it for
Esther or for anyone. What we mean is, now let's talk about this. You're really going to like this. When you use any excuse in the world to get into the vortex, so that you've practiced that inside the vortex feeling, when you do all of your affirming from inside the vortex, what you strengthen is your point of attraction. What you strengthen is your proximity to who you are. In other words, don't try to use your mind. This is really what we were getting at in the early part of this day, and we are so happy that we've come back round to it in such a strong and emphatic way. When you try to use your willpower to guide your thoughts, there's not a person on the planet strong enough. You're all too weak for that, because you're bucking the current of law of attraction, you see. When you set aside the issues that you've formed these strong opinions about, and you, in your brilliant guiding us in the conversation that we just had about which is it, thought or energy or emotion, what is the state that I'm reaching for, as you reach for the emotional state because you want to be in the vortex, and then you use anything that you can do to practice that inside the vortex experience or feeling, because you are thinking beings, you're not going to be able to be in the vortex for much time at all, without beginning to think again. And eventually, you will train every thought that comes up on a really regular basis to an inside the vortex thought. And then it's just easy. It's just easy. It's just easy. It's not hard to hold yourself in the vicinity of a good feeling thought when that's where you've been practicing and that's who you've become, you see. You getting what we're talking about?
Yes.
It's just easy to be optimistic when you mostly are. That makes pessimism hard and off, really off. But when you're mostly pessimistic, it's hard to be optimistic. And so what we're suggesting is that you just care so much about being in the vortex, and because you care so much about how you feel, that then the vortex will literally make you, we haven't said this before, the vortex will make of you a cooperative component to your own intentionality. It can't be otherwise. It can't be otherwise. We felt you like it when we were telling you that here's the vortex, and the emotion on this emotional scale of hope is so on the brink of the vortex that if you just hang around in hope, the vortex will take you in. You like that, don't you?
Yes.
And so this is the same subject. We're just taking it a little further. Now the vortex is taking you in. It will change you from a hoper to a believer. You know why? Because now you're in the vortex with full vision. And with that full vision, things will begin to occur that will make a believer of you. And if you hang around as a believer in the vortex long enough on subject after subject, you will be one who knows. You'll be a knower. You will know what the source within you knows. And then you can walk around anywhere under any conditions inside the vortex. Now you're walking around, but your vibration is that of inside the vortex. So now what can law of attraction give you? And only what can law of attraction give you? Things that match being in the vortex. And those outside the vortex who don't understand this, who don't understand vibration, who don't understand what you're doing, they'll say, oh, you're lucky, or oh, you're fortunate, or oh, you were born on. They'll make all kinds of excuses for you. And you will proclaim, you will affirm from inside the vortex, it isn't really the way you think it is. I have deliberately felt my way into the proximity or to the vicinity of this vortex of creation, and I have coached my way in, and I've practiced being there until this is now who I am. And now everyone and everything in the universe must treat me from this point of attraction, because I hold all of the power myself.
Very nice. Very nice. Thank you.